Good morning, this is Jim from RV4x40.com, here to talk to you today about a device that I use on a regular basis. It's an air compressor. It also can be used as a weight if you're into weightlifting. This particular model is a Viair or Viair, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, 400P-RV, specifically designed for filling RV tires, relatively high pressure tires up to about 150 pounds if you need to go that high. Its unique feature is the shutoff, which will stop the air compressor from running if you're not actively filling a tire. It does depend on pressure, so it takes a little bit of time to respond either way, but you don't run the compressor the entire time you have it out and hooked up. That's really useful because the compressor is rated for a 1/3 duty cycle, which means you need to leave it off a fair amount of time as you're filling the tire, so that works quite well with the automatic switch. The Viair kit comes in a heavy-duty bag suitable for carrying it. It also is very nice for storing it in the RV. The main item is the compressor itself. I believe there are two different models of this available. This is the stronger one as of the date it was purchased. End of the kit is the gun. It contains a air pressure gauge as well as an on-off trigger. There's also a bleed valve on it. If you need to reduce the pressure or drop it down for some reason, you can release some pressure out of the tire with that. The hoses are high pressure plastic. The coiling keeps it out of your way as you move around the RV. Each one is 30 feet long. There are two of them, a main hose and an extension hose. There is a pressure foot which can be used directly on a tire valve. I find this kind of hard to use because it takes a lot of force to hold it on a tire with 100 pounds of pressure in it, and I rarely use this particular feature. What I prefer is the black hose, which is on the right. It has a fitting which screws onto the tire valve, so that holds it in place and you don't have to sit there with any particular pressure. Heavy-duty tires are different than car tires, and they do not include a maximum pressure on the sidewall. What is given instead is a minimum pressure, which is required based on whether it is in a single wheel configuration such as a steer axle or in a dual wheel configuration as in the rear axle. Each manufacturer will publish a tire pressure chart such as this one, which will show you the minimum pressure required based upon the load on the tire. Again, the minimum pressure required is different in a single wheel configuration versus a dual wheel configuration, and you need to have at least this much pressure in the tire when it's cold to make sure it can carry the load safely. Typically, I put about 5 pounds more than the minimum required just for a safety margin, make sure I have enough, even with some leakage of the tire or some mistakes in reading the tire gauge. Connections are made with these two heavy-duty clamps that go directly to your battery. It does pull 30 amps when it's running, so you really want to have a good solid connection to a voltage source when you're using it. The system comes with 60 feet of hose altogether, two 30-foot sections. They coil up very nicely for storage and to keep them out of your way. You're not just dragging them around. They have these quick connect fittings on the end that just pull back the collar like that. I'm not sure you can see that, but you pull back the collar and you put this end onto the compressor, release it, it snaps into place, very solidly connected, and it's not going to pull apart. The black strain relief is there on this end of the hose to protect it where it leaves the air compressor as you go around corners and prevent it from having really sharp bends. The other end of the main hose is another female quick connect, and the extension hose has a male connector, so they just snap together as you would expect. Put them like that, release the collar, snaps in place, that's secure. The other end of this hose again has the black strain relief because this is the end that will be up near the tire with the filling nozzle. And this is the working end. It's a gun type of apparatus, has a gauge on it so you can directly see what's going on with the tire pressure. It snaps together like the rest of the system does, this end like that, and you're almost good to go. You still need a way to hook this up to the tire. The system comes with a 12-inch extension which has a fitting that goes directly on the tire valve. You can hold it there, but I find that to be very tedious, very hard to do for any period of time when you're trying to fill a tire with 110 pounds of pressure in it. So I have a different system that I prefer. This device also comes with a system. It screws onto the tire gauge, so it holds itself in place while you're filling the tire, and again, it snaps together like the rest of the system does. So there you have it. We're ready to go hook it up to a tire, and so let's go put some air in the front tire. I prefer working with a camp stool. This is a Coleman model. I'll put a link to it in the description down below. It makes it easier than trying to sit on the ground or kneel down, those kind of things. It's a lot easier to use than just sitting on the ground and more comfortable. So we've stretched the hose out And the first thing we're going to do is take the end that screws onto the tire valve and attach it to the tire so we don't have to sit there and hold pressure on something. Do this relatively quickly because there will be a little burst of air leaking out of the tire when you do it. At this point, you can really see what the tire pressure is. It's on the gauge. You probably can't read it from there, but it's saying I'm a little bit low, need to add just a little bit of pressure to this tire. Make sure that stays on there tight. All you have to do is pull the trigger. Once I do that, in a second or two, the compressor will kick in as I start pulling air out of the hose. And I'll keep doing this until I get where I think I might be on pressure. You'll actually have to get it several pounds above the point you want to end up at, because there's some loss of pressure going through all the connections and so forth into the tire. So when you think you're close, by reading maybe 5 pounds high, let off of the trigger. The compressor will get back up to pressure and shut itself off in a second. Now you can check the pressure, and I'm about where I want to have this tire. So that's it for how to put pressure in a tire using the Viair system. It's a great system. We've had it for 3 years, used it on 2 different motorhomes, and never had any problems with it. With the 60 foot of hose, I can reach all 4 corners of the coach without having to move the compressor itself. So that makes it nice. I don't have to worry about a long extension cord to hook up the compressor. So if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't, give it a thumbs down. That's okay. It gives us some feedback. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel for information about our travels and tips like this, then click on the subscribe button. If you click on the little bell beside the subscribe button, you'll get an email notification when we post a new video. And we hope you have a great day traveling down the road wherever your destination might be. There are links below to the compressor we use and the camp stool. We are an Amazon affiliate, so by purchasing the product through these links, you help support the channel with the small commission we earn if you use the link.